Welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm Kathleen Walter. With us now is Democratic pollster, author, and strategist Doug Schoen. Doug, thanks so much for being here today.
Kathleen, it's always my pleasure.
Well, many Americans are reeling from Hurricane Sandy. What is the impact of the storm on the 2012 presidential election, and just how significant will this impact be?
Well, in the short term, Kathleen, it has frozen the action. The campaigns have been largely dark for the last 2 days, except for the attack ads. And we will pick up Wednesday or perhaps Thursday where we left off with a statistical tie in the popular vote and 8 or 9 swing states hanging in the balance.
Now, Hurricane Sandy hit largely blue states, including New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Maryland, Maine, Delaware, Vermont, and also Washington, D.C. Could Hurricane Sandy actually help Mitt Romney?
Well, I think at this point it's impossible to say what the impact will be. The president, in the short term, is trying to use it for the purposes of generating leadership. And for those of you who saw Fox and Friends this morning, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie was effusive in his praise of the president. On the other hand, if there appears to be a drag in the cleanup efforts, it certainly could benefit Governor Romney in the waning days of the campaign.
Now, if there's a drag in cleanup efforts, that means folks having a harder time to get to the polls, elections offices having a little bit of difficulty staying in time, perhaps even being open on Election Tuesday.
Well, that remains to be seen. I largely think we'll be up and running by Tuesday, but time will tell. But bottom line, we have states like Virginia that were impacted. We have states like Ohio that were not impacted. So what will happen a week from today, it's hard to say. It could well be like a different century a week later.
Well, given that Barack Obama is facing a much closer race than he expected, do you see him potentially attempting to push back the election? And if so, is this something that states will go for?
I don't think there's any chance the election will not be held next Tuesday, barring some other hurricane or otherwise unanticipated act of God. What's
the impact to early voting?
The impact of early voting is, so far, it's been for benefited Obama, but there's been a clear benefit, I think, in those that are going to vote on Election Day in the polls for Governor Romney.
Now, do you see lawsuits flying by either party because of the storm? I mean, does either candidate need a landslide, basically, to avoid a long, protracted legal mess?
It's very hard to say. I think we're in really unanticipated, arguably virgin territory now. I think it's impossible to say what the impact of the storm will be, any lawsuits that flow from it. I think we really just have to see where we stand with power and with cleanup efforts in the next 2 or 3 days.
And Doug, I know that we're dealing with a lot of hypotheticals right now, but is it possible we might not even know who won the presidential election on Wednesday?
I think it is certainly possible, probably not probable, but possible we could have a very close election if the swing states that are now close remain close, if the popular vote, which is now close in the Real Clear Politics averages within 1% or so, stays close. But my sense is it's more likely than not that we'll have a clear and definitive winner. The real question to me, perhaps a subject for another day, is will and can America pull together after the most divisive contest in recent political history?
So you just touched on swing states. Some are saying that more blue states are up for play, including Minnesota, Maine, Michigan. What's your take on that?
Well, from what I'm seeing, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin are potentially in play in ways that 2 weeks ago were never expected. There's been some movement recently that remains unabated to Governor Romney. I think he has the momentum. Whether he can close the race out and win is the big unanswered question.
All right, Ohio, North Carolina, and Florida. How do you see those going, red or blue?
Florida, I see red. North Carolina, I see red. And Ohio, at this point, is, in my judgment, a statistical tie.
All right, let's talk about some of the Senate races. What is the impact of this storm on Senate races? Democrats are counting on New England to keep hold of the Senate. Could this storm potentially contribute to the makings of a Republican-controlled Senate?
Well, again, it's very hard to say. I would say this, that it looks to me like Elizabeth Warren is the favorite in Massachusetts. It looks to me like Angus King is the favorite in Maine. Both are likely to, either in Warren's case, be a Democrat, or in King's case, caucus with the Democrats. But that being said, you have a whole host of races in the Midwest that are within the margin of error. You have Nebraska, which is a pickup, and you have Montana, North Dakota, even Missouri now, that are all within the margin of error and could go Republican.
All right, last question for you. With 1 week to go, how do you think the election's going to play out, Doug? Do you think it'll go for Mitt Romney or Barack Obama?
You know, at this point, if the election were today, Tuesday, a week before the vote, I'd say Barack Obama would narrowly, ever so narrowly, win. But with the momentum with Governor Romney, I would not count out the possibility that a week from today, Governor Romney could emerge victorious.
All right.
We will have to watch the polls closely over the next 7 days. And Kathleen, my only hope is that we have a chance to talk one more time before the election to do a final wrap-up.
All right, we'll do that. Doug Schoen, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Kathleen.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.